Why hello mini charms and welcome back to the Kenwood Kids Club live from the Mr. Baker's Cakes kitchen. It's officially December and that means I'm allowed to get excited about Christmas baking because, in case you didn't realise, it's my actual favourite time of the year for cooking and for baking. That being said, in this, our first festive bake-along, we're not actually going to be doing any baking, because today we're going to be having a go at a no-bake recipe for something I'm calling, I have to remember this now, Christmas Leftovers Rocky Road Bars. And we've been on a bit of a journey with this name, and I still don't think it's perfect, so if you have a better idea, feel free to get in touch with me on social media and let me know. But essentially, it's a really tasty way to use up all those little bits and pieces you have around the house over the Christmas period that perhaps nobody really wants to finish off. So we're going to be using chocolate, dark chocolate in particular, because we all know they're the ones that are always left till the end. We're going to be using biscuits, we're going to be using sweets, we're going to be using nuts, we're going to be using dried fruit. We're going to bring everything together into a really delicious chocolatey bar that you can enjoy whenever you want. If you've got people coming around, you just fancy something sweet of an evening, they're just lovely, what can I say? One thing though, they do require you to chill them overnight. So in a moment, through the wonder of editing and a bit of pre-recorded footage, we're going to go back in time and I'm going to show you how I made them yesterday, ready for us to try them today. So, I guess, without much further ado, if it's your first time watching, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But yes, without much further ado, let's roll the footage and I'll see you guys in a second. Now, there's quite a few ingredients here, but one of the great things about this recipe, because it's leftover bars, it's actually leftovers bars? Maybe that sounds better. But anyway, because it's leftovers, it's essentially things that you have around the house. So I might be using certain ingredients, but if you don't have those around your house, you can change them for something else. But anyway, before we get stuck into the fillings, I'm going to show you how to make the base. And to do that, we're going to need some dark chocolate, some butter, and some golden syrup. So, first job, I'm going to pop those aside, and I've got a saucepan here. This is the only bit of cooking we are doing. And I'm going to weigh out my golden syrup straight into the pan. If you've ever used golden syrup before, you will know it's really sticky stuff. I'm popping it straight onto my scales, and in there I'm going to add 140 grams of this golden syrup. By doing it straight into the pan, it means you're not going to get yourself into a sticky mess, or at least hopefully. Now 140 grams is quite a lot, so I might be a while. There we go, look at that, 140 grams. And then I'm going to add in 100 grams of butter, and I'm using slightly salted because it means I don't have to add salt later. We know, of course, it's really important to have salt even in sweet dishes because it makes all the other flavours really pop. And then I've got 300 grams of dark chocolate. Now, dark chocolate is a little bit more bitter than milk chocolate, and so with all that syrup in there, they're going to balance each other out really nicely. If you can do this with milk chocolate if you prefer, but it will be really, really sweet. Okay, so then I'm going to take this pan, pop it on the hob over a low heat, and I just want to melt everything together. So that's on there, and while it's doing its thing, I'm going to tell you about all my other ingredients. So as I say, this is Christmas leftovers, although we haven't got to Christmas yet, so I actually just went a bit mad in the supermarket. But I've got 3 different types of biscuit here. I've got some mini gingerbread men, I've got some traditional shortbread, and I've got some speculoos biscuits, which are kind of a bit like lotus biscuits if you've had those before. I've then got some nuts, and I'm using pecans because they are my absolute favourite nut. But if you have those kind of bowls of mixed nuts that are always around at Christmas, you can just use those, and all the different flavours will really make your leftover Christmas bars taste amazing. And then I've got some dried fruit as well, and because it's Christmas, I thought I'm going to use cranberries. But again, you can use any type of dried fruit that you like. And then finally, because it's Christmas, I want some pops of Christmassy colour. So I found this really cool sprinkle mix that looks like this. And these are, some of them are chocolate filled and some of them are biscuit filled. So they're going to add a really nice touch to this as well. And then finally, I'm going to just pop one candy cane in as well. I'm going to chop it up so it's in little pieces. I don't want too much because I don't want that mint flavour to overpower everything else. But again, it's just going to add a really nice Christmassy touch to my bars. So first job, I'm just going to give this a quick stir just to make sure everything's starting to mix together, and it already is. And then while it carries on melting and mixing, we're going to start preparing the rest of our ingredients. Now I've got a huge bowl that I'm going to put everything into, but I want small pieces of everything. So I'm going to break up my biscuits, and I want them to be small but not too small that they kind of dissolve into the mixture. So I'm just kind of breaking them into kind of bite-sized pieces. I will show you a bit closer in a second so you can see what I mean. But remember, I've got gingerbread, I've got like lotus biscuits, and I've got this shortbread as well, and they're all very different textures and flavours, so it's going to be really yum. Now you don't have to do it like this, you could pop them in a bag and bash them with your rolling pin, but it's important that you don't bash them so much that they end up too small, because again, they'll just almost dissolve into the chocolate mixture, and we want those crispy chunks of biscuit to stay crispy even when we've mixed everything together. So just breaking these up, poor gingerbread man. Now I'm rushing quite a lot to do this, but you don't need to because you can take your time. I'm just mindful of the fact that you don't want to watch me doing this for ages. I bet you want to get stuck into making your own. As I say, it kind of reminds me of a rocky road, but it doesn't really have many of the traditional rocky road ingredients. And then it's a bit like a Tiffin, but not completely either. And then it definitely reminds me of an Irish chocolate biscuit cake, because I've made one of those before, and that had lots of biscuits and sweets and dried fruit in it too. So it's definitely a bit of a mishmash of all of them, but hopefully it takes all the best bits of all of them. So that's pretty much all my biscuits in the big bowl. I'm just going to give them a quick mix with my fingers. And then we're going to go back to this pan and give everything a stir again, just because I don't want anything burning or catching at all. So it's all melting really quickly on that low heat. And then we can turn our attention back to this again. And now I'm going to add my nuts. Again, I'm just breaking them up ever so slightly because I don't want big whole pecans in there. And again, if you're using nuts that are quite large, maybe you've got Brazil nuts, you might need to get an adult to help you chop them up into smaller pieces. But it's really up to you. The main reason we don't want everything to be too big is it could stop everything clumping together, which means we'd find it tricky to chop it up into our bars when everything is done. Okay, there we go. So there's all of my pecans in with the biscuits. Those empty bowls to the side. And again, another quick mix to make sure everything is combined. And then we can go in with that dried fruit. And this one we don't need to break up, but we do just need to make sure it's not stuck together in any big clumps at all. So just take your time to make sure it's all nice and separate. Again, if you're using quite large dried fruit, maybe you've got something like apricots, then those would need to be chopped up as well. But if you're using something like raisins, currants, sultanas, cherries, or of course cranberries like I am, you can just pop them in as they are. And then of course I've got my Christmassy sprinkles. And the last ingredient to go in is that candy cane. So I'm just going to peel that. Oh, it's already broken. It's going to save me a bit of a job. And then I'm just going to use a knife to chop it up into chunks. Now again, these want to be a little bit small because otherwise nobody wants to be eating a chocolatey biscuity bite and then suddenly get a big mouthful of solid candy cane. So we're just going to pop some of those in there, and I'm going to keep a couple back to use at the end for decoration. So not much, but a little bit. And then again, bring this back in. Give it all a good stir, and doesn't that already look really festive with all those Christmassy colours? Then another quick stir over here, and this is almost ready. While I wait for the last couple of lumps to melt, I'm going to show you what I'm going to use to assemble my Christmas leftover bars. I really need a better name. If you can think of a better name, get in touch with me on social media and tell me what you think I should have called them. And what I've got is a 20 centimetre square shallow tin that looks like this, and I've just rubbed a bit of butter all over the inside and then stuck on some greaseproof paper. All that's going to do is make it nice and easy for me to lift it out when everything is set. So that's ready to go over there. I'm just going to come back to this mixture and give it one more quick stir. As I say, it smells absolutely delicious. Okay, I think we are already ready. So I'm going to take this off. My hob's going to beep a bit, but I'm not going to turn it off because I'm going to go straight on with a pan with just a little bit of water in the bottom. And the reason for that is we're going to melt a bit more chocolate using something called a double boiler in just a moment. So I'll show you that in a second. But for now, I'm going to bring my bowl back in here, and I'm just going to pour this chocolatey mixture over the top. Doesn't that look incredible? It's all runny and smooth. And in there, don't forget, we've got the chocolate, we've got the butter, and we've got that lovely golden syrup. Don't want to waste any of this mixture. Okay, and then we're just going to stir everything together, and make sure you do this with a spoon. Don't be tempted to put your hands in, because of course it is very hot where it's just come out of that pan. Now don't panic if all those lovely bright colours are hidden now, because what will happen is when you chop this up into bars, you'll see them through the sides. So it will still look really lovely and festive. Plus we're going to add some more on the top for decoration. So in here we've got the biscuits, we've got the nuts, we've got the fruit, we've got the sweets, we've got the sprinkles, and it's just going to be great. And again, by the way, you can add anything you want to this mix, so long as you keep roughly the same sort of amounts of dry ingredients to those wet ingredients. You can add sweeties, you can add marshmallows, you can add Rice Krispies, anything you like that you think would be really yummy in your bars. And then we could just bring this pan in, and I'm going to very carefully, because it's quite heavy, pour that mixture into the pan. Okay, oh, I've made a mess anyway. Regular viewers will know that usually happens, but I kind of feel if I'm not making a mess, I'm not having fun. We just need to make sure that we're the ones to do the cleaning up afterwards. We're not going to make our grown-ups do it for us. Okay, so I'm kind of smoothing everything out and trying to make it roughly level. And to do that, I'm just using the back of my spoon. And I'm also making sure I'm pushing it right up to the edges as well. And then, when I'm happy with how it's looking, I can set this aside while I work on the next part, which is melting some more chocolate to go on the top. But before I do that, I'm just going to let you have a closer look at this. Pop this to one side, and there we go. It doesn't look like much yet, does it? But I promise it will. So I'm just going to pop that there. I'm going to wipe up this mess that I've made as well. Okay, that looks a lot better, doesn't it? So now I'm going to get another 100 grams of that dark chocolate. I'm going to pop it in a bowl, a heat-proof bowl, over the top of that pan of water. This is called a double boiler, and what it does is it allows me to melt that chocolate without the risk of burning it. When I was melting the chocolate with the butter and the syrup, that kind of stops it burning as long as you stir it regularly. But chocolate on its own, it's very easy to burn. So by using a double boiler like this, it should stop that happening. Again though, whenever we're working with heat, we need to make sure we're being safe, so make sure your adult is nearby and they're helping you. I've also got a heat-proof silicone spatula this time, and that's what I'm going to use to stir this chocolate too. But it will take a little while to melt. While we're waiting for that, shall I show you what I'm going to use to decorate my bars? So as I've already said, I've got some more of those sprinkles, which I just found online. Perhaps I can pop a link below this video. I've got a little bit left of that chopped up candy cane that you saw me using just now. And I also found this box of Christmas sprinkles as well, which I haven't even opened yet. So I'm gonna have a look now while I'm waiting. So, I think there's a proper way to open this that I haven't done, but never mind. Okay, I'm almost in. There we go. So looking in here, I've got little presents, I've got little mini gold Christmas trees, there's some baubles, some little red candy canes, I think those are robins. There's even some little bells and things. So I'm going to sprinkle some of those over the top of my bars too. So hopefully, with the rest of those Christmassy sweets and sprinkles and candy cane, this is going to look amazing and festive. Perhaps you could also drizzle some white chocolate over the top as well. I didn't think of that. So my chocolate's starting to melt, so I'm just going to give it a little stir. Okay, so that chocolate's pretty much melted now, so I'm going to take this bowl off of that pan, and then remember, the pan will still be very hot, so try not to touch that until it's had a chance to cool down. Just going to give this another quick stir, and hopefully you can see on camera now, it's nice and smooth, there's no lumps of chocolate left. And you've got two options here. You can either just drizzle it over your tray, just from the bowl, or if you have one, you could use a piping bag like this. I'm just going to open that bag up slightly, and then I'm going to pour that chocolate in. Now again, it's going to be quite warm, so do be careful, and you might need to wait a few minutes before it's cool enough for you to handle that bag so that you don't burn yourself. Once your chocolate has cooled down enough that you're able to touch that bag comfortably, we're just going to use a pair of scissors to cut a tiny bit off the end, and then I'm going to drizzle that chocolate over the top of this pan. I'm going to try not to make too much mess, but I always say that, don't I? And then, once I've done that, it's time for the decorations, which is always the best part. So I'm going to grab some more of those giant sprinkles that I showed you that went into the mix, and I'm just going to sprinkle those randomly over the top. What I like about these is there's big ones, there's medium ones, and there's small ones too. So I'm going to try and dot the big ones around slightly. And then, of course, we've got those bits of candy cane as well, so we can drop those on. And then, obviously, I've got those Christmassy sprinkles as well. I'm just going to pop some of those into my hand. And I can sprinkle some of those on top as well. And so I've got all those lovely Christmassy colours. I've got that green, the red, the gold. It just looks really amazing. And what's great is because we don't have to put this in the oven, it's actually something that you can just make when you've got a few free minutes, pop it in the fridge, and it will keep for up to about 4 days. So you can make it in advance and have it ready just in case people pop round over Christmas. And then when you're happy with how it's looking, this just needs to go into the fridge for a few hours, probably 3 to 4, or overnight is probably best. And then when you've done that, it's ready to chop up and serve. So I'm going to go and pop mine in the fridge, and next time I see you, we'll be back live and we'll be able to chop mine up and have a look at it. And more importantly, have a taste of it. So I'll see you back on the live stream. Bye. Now hopefully we are back on the live stream, and if we are, hello again. If you joined us while this was going up live, then we are making, oh gosh, here we go again, Christmas Leftovers Rocky Road bars, and you've just watched a pre-recorded segment of me yesterday making my batch, which you can see is now here. It's chilled overnight, it's nice and solid, and it's ready for me to chop it up. Now, there's lots of different ways you can do this, but I'm going to cut mine into, what, shall I just show you? I'm going to show you. So I'm going to start by lifting it out of the pan, and with a bit of gentle teasing, that shouldn't be too tricky to do. You might need to get an adult to help you though. And then we're just going to peel off this paper from around the edges, like so. And then you're going to need a very big knife for this, and you might need to get an adult to help you. But I'm going to grab that knife, and what I'm going to do is cut mine into 4 or 5 slices that way, and then 1 slice that way, and that's what's going to give me those bars. So if we do 4, then I can start with a chop down the middle. And the reason I say you need a big knife is because there's a lot of biscuit in here. So you're going to need to put some pressure behind it. So as I say, if you need an adult to help you, that's absolutely fine. Kind of wish I had an adult to help me. Okay, can you hear all those crunching noises? So that will be all of those biscuity bits and things inside. So there's our first cut. Gosh, I think if I do 4, they're going to be quite big. Never mind. Okay, well there's a big, crisp, pearly, chocolatey thing on the top there, but that's fine, we'll cut through that. Oh, goodness me. And then 1 more cut over here. Now, if you don't want to do bars, by the way, you can also do 4 cuts the other way and make them into little squares instead. And if you do it like that, they do make a really fun gift as well. You can stack them up, wrap them up in some cellophane, and they look absolutely amazing. Here we go, 1 more cut. This is my workout for today. There we go. Whew, dear. And there are my bars. So, if I peel one off the paper, can you see in that side view there, you can see the biscuits, you can see the nuts, there's a couple of sprinkles that we've cut through, and then of course we have all those lovely colourful decorations on the top as well. Now, the most important part of any video, as always, I was about to wash my hands, but there's no point because I'm about to pick it up again. The most important part of every video is when we give things a taste. So, this is a very big mouthful, it might take me a while to chew, but let's give it a go. I always find this bit of the video really awkward. All of those different flavours really just assault your taste buds at the same time. So it's just an overwhelming mix of chocolate, biscuit, the spice from the gingerbread and the speculoos biscuits, the nuts there, the fruits there, and they really are absolutely delicious. And as I said, I think, hopefully, in the pre-recorded bit yesterday, one of my favourite things about this recipe is you can literally use anything you have lying around the house. So I would love for you all to be as creative as you can. Have a look at what you can include, make changes, use your favourite sweets, your favourite biscuits, and then of course share them with us over on the Kenwood Kids Club website. It's my mouth covered in chocolate, my hands are. Yes, head to the Kenwood Kids Club website, which is linked down below this video. Not only will you find the full recipe and method for my Christmas Leftovers Rocky Road bars, but you'll also be able to sign up to become a member and get your hands on your Kenwood Kids Club membership card. I'm not going to show it to you today because chocolatey hands. And if you enter sharing and uploading a picture of your version of this recipe, who knows, you could be announced as December's Star Baker of the Month competition, scooping yourself your very own Kenwood Kids Club goodie bag and your own Kenwood hand mixer as well, which I just think is absolutely amazing. So, yes, that was my Christmas Leftovers Rocky Road bars unless you come up with a better name, of course, using just bits and pieces that you'll hopefully have lying around the house this Christmas, and I really look forward to seeing how creative you can be with this recipe. Don't forget, I will be back and live in the Kenwood Kids Club kitchen every Thursday throughout December with some more fun and easy Christmassy recipes that you can bake to share with your family and friends this Christmas time. As I mentioned earlier on, if you haven't already, click that big red subscribe button right now to make sure you don't miss another video. And of course, if you liked this video, do give it a thumbs up down below as well. I will see you at the same time next week. And until then, as always, take care and happy baking. Bye everyone.